What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to debate when quarterbacks Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones will finally take the field for their team. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, Nick. Well, we have wrapped up 2/3 of the preseason and taking a look at some of these young quarterbacks. A lot of film has stood out to us, and it's starting to beg the question as to when we're going to see some of these young guys start. Now, when we see players like Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, we realize that they are the QB1 for their team already. So we're going to negate them from this list because they're going to be starting week 1. It's all but assured at this point. Now we take a look at the other 3 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round, and that's Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. These guys are really set to possibly take over as QB1 for their team, and they're in interesting positions. Now, we can go through each one, but a lot of noise has been made by all 3 of these guys. I just want to hear from you. Who are you most excited about?
To me, without a doubt, Trey Lance offers the biggest potential out of these 3 guys. When you're looking at the 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks who were taken in this year's draft, Trey Lance, he has the physical presence, but he also has the skill set to really take command of this 49ers team. He fits really well so far in this 49ers system. I think that this is just the beginning. I think that Trey Lance is going to be one of the biggest surprises and the biggest steals out of this year's draft.
I mean, taking a look here, honestly, I'm really excited for Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields should have been the number 2 quarterback taken in the draft. And when the Jets passed him over and then the 49ers passed him over, and he kept getting passed over by team and team and team, nobody trading up for him until finally Chicago did just that at the 11th overall selection. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and I loved what this man put out there in the college football scene. So I'm really excited to see what Justin Fields can do. I've loved what I've seen so far from him in the preseason. And I'm really excited to see what he can do for the Bears moving forward. All right, so let's get into it. Starting off with 49ers quarterback Trey Lance. Trey Lance is just one of those guys. He's built, he is beefy, he's massive. Reminds me a lot of Cam Newton. Reminds me a lot of one of those quarterbacks that you say that is a linebacker playing the quarterback position. He's going to be hard to tackle. He's going to run the ball a lot, and he is going to mow people down. So with that said, Nick, I want you to start off the debate. When do you believe Trey Lance will start for the 49ers?
Yeah, so far in preseason, week 1 of the preseason, we saw Trey Lance get some good time in the field, and he produced some solid plays. That big 80-yard touchdown to Sherfield, that was massive. That's what really made Trey Lance stand out in week 1. And then moving into week 2 of the preseason, Jimmy Garoppolo threw an interception. That was a tipped pass, and then we also saw Trey Lance do the same thing. But what I liked was how Trey Lance bounced back from that interception. He didn't let it get to him. In fact, he came back even stronger, and he threw 2 touchdowns, and he looked phenomenal after that interception. He throws the ball a little hard, and I think that's something his wide receivers are going to have to get used to. We saw a lot of drop passes because of the amount of speed and power he has behind those throws. Once his wide receivers get used to catching the ball from him, I think that he's going to be absolutely money. It's going to be very hard for a lot of these defenses to stop him with how accurate he is and how much he's able to do in that pocket. I think Trey Lance offers a lot of versatility that Jimmy Garoppolo does, and because of that, I think that Trey Lance will be taking over in week 6 of the season against the Indianapolis Colts at home for the 49ers. I think this is the perfect opportunity because in weeks 3, 4, and 5, we have all divisional matchups for the 49ers, and these are very tough divisional matchups for Jimmy Garoppolo. For me, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo has the skill set to win these games with the receivers that he has, with the players he has available. But Trey Lance, with how dynamic he is, I think that he is going to be that missing piece. He'll be able to take over even with these weapons and be able to win some games because he's now a multi-threat player. He's going to flush out of the pocket. He'll extend plays with his feet. And then he has the ability to take off and run people over with how big he is. He is such a massive presence. He looks like Cam Newton on the field, but he is going to be a very tough player to actually play against. I think Trey Lance offers so much more than Jimmy Garoppolo, and he will get his playing time. I'm expecting him to take over in week 6.
Wow, you have Trey Lance taking over in week 6. I think I'm going to surprise you here. I have Trey Lance taking over week 1 for the San Francisco 49ers. I think Trey Lance ends up winning this QB competition, and I don't think people are really aware of the fact of what he is doing with the second and third string. When you take a look at this 49ers team, you take a look at the depth that they have, or the lack of depth that they have on the offensive side of the ball, and he's producing better than Jimmy is with the ones. I want to see Trey Lance with the ones. I want to see what he can do. I think he can take over this offense. I think what Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance can do together has not even really been explored. What he has in his possession cannot be replicated by too many people. I think of Cam Newton, I think of Russell Wilson, I think of Lamar Jackson. This guy has incredible speed, incredible arm strength, and can make any sort of throw, whether it's a bootleg pass out of the pocket or somebody who needs to stay in the pocket for 2 to 3 seconds. I think he offers everything that Jimmy Garoppolo offers and then some. So if you have a guy that can match your incumbent quarterback, why not start that guy who can also do so much more?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there is a potential for Trey Lance to start this season. We look earlier into the offseason where Jimmy Garoppolo was almost traded for Kirk Cousins, and that just shows you what Kyle Shanahan thinks of Jimmy Garoppolo. He does not think that he is the future, and that's why they went after Trey Lance. They believe in Trey Lance fully. They moved up and traded a ton to go get him. And it's possible he could take over week 1, but I still think it's Jimmy Garoppolo's job to lose. I eventually think he'll lose that after his week 5 game. And then moving into week 6, I fully expect Trey Lance to take over. But nonetheless, it's an early start for Trey Lance. I think it's a lot earlier than a lot of people expect.
For sure. And I think it is Jimmy Garoppolo's job to lose. And I think he lost it in the preseason. All right, moving forward, we have Justin Fields. Justin Fields is in a very interesting position as Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Chicago Bears, has already stated once again that Andy Dalton will be the starting quarterback week 1. So he has reassured the Bears faithful, he has reassured the NFL public that Andy Dalton will be taking over as QB1 for this foreseeable future. Now, that brings me to their schedule. And when you take a look at their schedule, they have a pretty tough road ahead of them out of the gates. Starting off at the Los Angeles Rams, then back home with the Bengals, at the Cleveland Browns, massive games right there. Then back home against the Detroit Lions, at the Las Vegas Raiders, the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the San Francisco 49ers, and then at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to stop right there because week 10 is their bye week, and I think that is when the transition happens. I think Justin Fields is given a lot of opportunity to take in really good defenses, really good quarterbacks that they're going to be facing. He gets to learn from them, kind of watch from the sideline, get his timing down with the offense, work in practice. At the end of the day, the Bears are going to be struggling to get to this point, but Justin Fields is going to offer them a beacon of light for a hopeful playoff run. Now with Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay, the Bears are really looking at a wild card position, and this is where Justin Fields is going to be able to lead them. I believe Justin Fields takes over after the week 10 bye week for the Chicago Bears.
Wow, you surprised me there. I don't think that Justin Fields is going to be waiting that long. In fact, I don't care what Matt Nagy says. I think that Justin Fields will be starting week 1 for the Chicago Bears. To me, we look at what Andy Dalton is doing this preseason, and he looks exactly like Mitchell Trubisky did in this system. He does not look good. He does not look like a competent quarterback, but that's because of the system that Matt Nagy runs. Matt Nagy does not run very complex plays that make defenses think twice. They know exactly what's going to happen. They know how to scheme against it, making it very simple. But the thing that Justin Fields offers that Andy Dalton and Nick Foles don't, he has mobility like no other. He looks exactly like Deshaun Watson, and there's no way around that. You can't say that just because he's a different player, he comes from a different school and has a different background, he's not the same player. They play the exact same, they run the exact same, they look the exact same. They are identical to each other, and that's not a bad thing because that is an elite quarterback in today's NFL. That is the epitome of what you want in your franchise quarterback. And when we look at Justin Fields, he may not have the flashy numbers in the preseason so far, but that's because he's running with the second and third string offense. When you put him with the first string, we put him with Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney, he's going to put up some big numbers. He actually makes Matt Nagy's offense look more complex than it actually is, and he's making things actually happen for this offense. To me, Justin Fields has all the tools necessary to not only make the Bears relevant in this season, but to also help Matt Nagy keep his job, because this is a very important season for Matt Nagy. He could be out of a job if he does not choose the right quarterback, and I think Justin Fields is the guy who could keep him there a lot longer than Andy Dalton.
You know, you say Justin Fields looks like Deshaun Watson. I just want to assure the Bears fans that Justin Fields will not be having massage therapists come to his home multiple times a day. So you don't have to worry about any allegations or charges being levied against him. That being said, listen, I'm going to take Matt Nagy's word for it, because if you can't trust the word of the head coach, then what are you going to do? I think Justin Fields should start week 1. I don't think that's the possibility, and I do believe that Matt Nagy will end up losing his job somewhere along the line. I believe that Justin Fields is the perfect person to take over for the Bears. I want to see him take a look at the players that he's going to be facing off against, like Matthew Stafford and Baker Mayfield and Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger. I want him to take a look at these guys. And while he has a different skill set than them, he can understand the mastery that they have of the game from a cerebral point of view and understand what these guys see. Take a look at the defense and really learn about the quickness they have with the football, the decision making, their ability to read defenses. He can soak all that in. So while I believe he should start week 1, I do want him to sit on the sidelines and kind of take all of this in and really learn the game, because I want to see this man be truly successful in the NFL. I'm really excited for what he can put up for the next decade or two in the NFL.
I'm right there with you. I think that he's got all the tools, but I think that he has the ability to start right away. And with Andy Dalton still under contract, he'll be there to guide Justin Fields through this process. It's not going to be a good season for either quarterback just because of the way this team is structured and the coaching staff that they have. It's just not going to be great. But I think that Justin Fields gives them the best chance at being successful this season.
All right, and then finally we have Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is one of those guys that you say fits the New England Patriots offensive system perfectly. He looks like a replica of Jimmy Garoppolo when you put that number 10 on him. The only difference is he's been in big moments and really produced before. He's got that clutch gene that Jimmy Garoppolo truly doesn't have. So when you take a look at Mac Jones, he's got great zip on the ball. He's truly making this a quarterback competition with Cam Newton and really pushing for that starting job. Now with Cam Newton out for the next couple of days as we record this video, Mac Jones is going to be working with the first team. He's going to get a lot of reps with Nelson Aguilar, Jonnu Smith, this first team offensive line, Damian Harris, so on and so forth. I believe he's going to really showcase his skill set and make this job very difficult for Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels to evaluate who should be the quarterback number 1. But when it's all said and done, I believe that Mac Jones will be the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots week 1 of the 2022 NFL season. I believe that he is going to be one of those guys that has to sit for a year. Bill Belichick just doesn't play rookies. If you look at his mantra, he does not play rookies right away. He redshirts them, and he wants them to understand the game. So at the end of the day, Mac Jones will sit. Cam Newton is signed for this year. They're going to utilize him to bridge the gap. They're going to give Mac Jones an entire year under his belt to really learn the game, really learn the nuances, work with Brian Hoyer, work with Josh McDaniels, get this playbook in his head so he never has to think about a play in his life, and he can literally just go out there and play football. It's that simple. And when you take a look at Bill Belichick, like I said, he does not start rookies, and this is exactly why. Even Tom Brady sat for a while. Even though he showcased his skill set, they made him sit and really take a look at this playbook before they allowed him to even sniff the starting lineup, and only then did it take an injury for him to get in. With Mac Jones, I believe that they've learned their lesson. They're saying, listen, this guy has the skill set we want. We need him to learn the playbook. We need him to be able to read defenses. It's going to take a full year for that to happen. So I believe Cam Newton starts the entire 2021 season.
That is actually exactly what I have. I think that Mac Jones has a lot going for him, but like you said, Bill Belichick is not one to put a rookie in that situation. We have so many rookies come through the Patriots every year, and we barely see any of them ever get any starting time on the team. They always have to sit. As we like to call it, they have the Foxborough flu. They always end up on injured reserve or the players unable to perform list, and we just don't see them. They get to sit back and just relax while learning the playbook and understanding how this team operates. And I think that Mac Jones is going to have to go through that same process. What changed for me, though, is going into week 2 of the preseason when I saw Cam Newton go 8 for 9 and actually look like a really competent, really sound quarterback in this system, hitting his targets, not and moving around well in the pocket. Cam Newton is finally understanding this team. He's finally getting into a rhythm with his receivers, and he's really looking good. And to me, Cam Newton is just going to get better from here. He's going to have Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry actually play for him, and Nelson Aguilar is going to get more involved in this offense. Plus, the running back situation is so good that that alleviates Cam Newton from having to throw the ball a lot or putting him in a lot of situations where he's not going to have to handle a lot of big pass rushes from these defenses. He's going to have time in the pocket to work with the amazing offensive line that Bill Belichick has put together. Cam Newton has all the tools necessary to be successful, and he has all the weapons around him now to finally do that as well. I think Cam Newton is headed in the right direction, and he's looking really good so far, and I think that's what's going to also hold Mac Jones off until next season.
Absolutely. I believe that Mac Jones is one of those guys that has all the skills that you ask for at the quarterback position, especially in the nuanced version of Josh McDaniels' offensive system. But at the end of the day, this is Bill Belichick's team. He is going to make the decision. And Cam Newton showed a lot last year, a lot of grit, a lot of toughness, and a lot of leadership that cannot go unnoticed. What he brings to this team in the locker room and on the field is nothing like I've seen before. And granted, Tom Brady was one of the best leaders that has ever lived on the football field. But Cam Newton brings a different level of energy. He brings a different level of emotion and passion. And I believe that he is a great change of pace from what they normally have. I believe that the players rally around Cam Newton, and that's why he is going to start for this season. All right, well, I want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments section down below when you believe that Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones will be starting for their respective teams. Until then, that'll be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.